All right, let's talk about one of the biggest leaps you can make in your career. We're going beyond just writing lines of code and diving into how to truly think like a developer. And trust me, this isn't about learning a new programming language, it's about a complete shift in how you see and solve problems. It's a total game changer. So first things first, let's get this major difference out on the table. You've got the coder, right? They're given a task and they're laser focused on writing the code to get that specific task done. But then you have the developer. Their entire world is different. They're not just completing a task, they are solving a problem by building systems that are meant to last. It's not about who's smarter, it's about perspective.
Okay, so the first big idea we've got to tackle is this. Think before you type. I'm serious. This is the one habit that really separates the pros from the amateurs. It's all about stepping back and actually understanding the real problem you're trying to solve before you even dream of opening your code editor. What a coder often does, their first instinct is to jump straight into the how. The thought process is something like, okay, I need a login system, and boom, the next thing you know, they're Googling a tutorial. It's all reaction, all focused on just getting that immediate thing built.
A developer, on the other hand, whoa, they hit the brakes. Their process doesn't start with code at all. Nope, it starts with questions, a lot of them. And these are the kinds of questions they're asking. What is the actual deep down problem we're trying to solve here? Who are we building this for? And what do they actually need? What are our limitations? Time, budget, the tech we have to use. And this one's huge. What are the weird edge cases we haven't thought of? Answering these questions first is crucial, because if you don't, you might build a perfect, beautiful solution to the wrong problem. And here's a perfect real-world example of that. If the founders of Airbnb had just thought, let's build a booking form, they would have failed. Instead, they asked a much, much deeper question. How do we get total strangers to trust each other enough to stay in their homes? Answering that question is what led to profiles, reviews, secure payments, all the things that actually made the business work. That, right there, is developer thinking. Okay, so that brings us to our next big point. Once you really get the problem, a developer's brain switches gears. You stop thinking about one-off scripts and start thinking about designing entire systems.
There's this legendary quote by Martin Fowler that just nails it. Any fool can write code that a computer can understand. Good programmers write code that humans can understand. See, the computer doesn't care, but the next person who has to read your code, they care. And that next person might just be you 6 months from now, with zero memory of what you were thinking.
I mean, just look at this. On the left, you've got function P of U. What in the world is that? You have no idea without reading every line inside it. But on the right, function is adult user. It's perfectly clear. It tells you exactly what it does just from the name. This isn't about being clever. It's about being understood. Your goal is clarity over cleverness every single time.
Now, this next one is a hard truth that every great developer eventually learns. There is no such thing as a perfect solution. It just doesn't exist. In the real world, everything, and I mean everything, is a trade-off.
And here are some of the classics you'll face every day. You want to move super fast and ship a feature tomorrow? Okay, you can, but the cost is probably technical debt. Shortcuts you'll have to pay for later. You want Fort Knox level security? Great, but that might make the app a pain for your users to log into. A developer's real job is to understand these trade-offs and make a conscious, informed decision about which one is right for this project, right now.
All right, we've talked about the mindset and the design philosophy. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty, the actual day-to-day habits and professional workflow that really set developers apart.
This one's all about reframing your perspective. A coder might look at a tight deadline or a clunky old system and just see a roadblock. A developer, they see an opportunity. Constraints are what force you to be creative. Think about Twitter's original 140-character limit. That wasn't a bug. It was a constraint that literally created a new way for people to communicate.
This is a mantra you should tattoo on your brain. A developer knows their time and their brain power are the most expensive resources on the project. So if you find yourself doing some boring, repetitive task more than once, whether it's setting up a project, running tests, whatever, you automate it, period. And this is kind of how it works, right? It's like building blocks. You start by automating your own computer setup. Then you automate code quality checks, then testing, then the whole process of merging and delivering code, until even deployments are just a click of a button. Every layer you add frees you up from boring manual work so you can focus on solving the hard, interesting problems.
And all of this automation leads to a really profound idea. See, a coder is often reactive. They're a bug fixer. A developer is proactive. They're a bug preventer. They use all these tools and careful design to stop whole categories of bugs from ever even happening. So let's tie this all together. What does this path actually look like? What does it really mean to adopt this mindset? Let's talk about the developer's creed.
First up, focus on your impact, not just your activity. The goal is not to see who can write the most lines of code. The goal is to deliver the most value. And sometimes, you know what? The best solution is actually deleting code or realizing you don't need to build anything new at all.
Next, you have to be endlessly curious. You have to be the one in the room who's always asking, why? Why was it built this way? Is this old assumption we're working with still even true? That's where the real insights come from.
Third, think of yourself as a craftsperson. The code you're writing today could be around for years, and someone else is going to have to maintain it. Write it with care. Write it with clarity. Write it with respect for that future person.
And finally, the most important one of all. You can build the most elegant, technically brilliant thing in the world, but if it doesn't solve a real problem for a real person, it doesn't matter. The end user is the ultimate judge, jury, and executioner of your work.
And listen, it's so important to remember this. Thinking like a developer isn't some magical talent you're either born with or you're not. It's a skill, it's a discipline, and it's built slowly but surely through thousands of small, thoughtful decisions you make every single day. So this all comes down to you. This isn't about trying to change everything about how do work overnight. That's impossible. It's about picking one thing, one idea from everything we've talked about, and just trying to apply it on your very next task. So the real question is, how will you start today?